Have you ever been out to a party when two people in a relationship get into an argument? You try and ignore it, but maybe Becky or Mike makes a comment and it starts to get loud and forces everyone in the room to look around for an excuse to leave. You fake a phone call or a heart attack just to try and run away from something that uncomfortable. Well, unfortunately for America, we are all stuck in that room right now as President Trump and Elon Musk air out their spat online like a pair of high school girls in love with the same jock. For Musk, this isn't the kind of respect you should show to somebody who sits behind the desk of the president just because you don't agree with him about a bill going through Congress. And Trump, this isn't the kind of gratitude you show to someone who's the busiest man in the world who set aside tremendous responsibility and resources to enact your agenda. So boys, it's time to knock off this nonsense, take the cotton out of your bras, and act like men again. I'm Tyler Chrestman. Welcome to the Chrestman Conversation. All right. Hello, everybody. We have three topics for you today. Going to be talking about the Elon Musk, Donald Trump fallout, Cory Booker giving a Nazi salute, and Marco Rubio revoking Chinese student visas. But first, my favorite comment from last week. We have a friend of the show, Eric, who said, quote, "Just wanted to say hello. I really enjoyed your most recent offering. Food for thought, fascinating perspective, and facts," end quote. Oh, my gosh. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. I always appreciate nice comments. You know, we get a lot of things here on the Chrestman Conversation, especially on our shorts over on YouTube. Good and bad comments. It's always nice when the good outweighs the bad, which they did last week. Must not have been controversial enough, I guess. I guess that, oh, my gosh. You hear Winnie bumping this microphone. Winnie, your fans demand you say hi first. There she is, the most famous person on the podcast, Winifred. Okay, so thank you, Eric. I do appreciate the nice comments. I appreciate when people have kind words. Okay, topic one. We are going to talk about Musk and Trump, the showdown. I don't know if this is an issue. I saw it now on the news. I wasn't sure at first if this was going to be an online thing, but I guess I shouldn't have assumed that when you're dealing with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because Elon Musk and Donald Trump are the two of the most famous men in the world, and when they're arguing, of course, it's just going to be national news. Before I get into the nitty-gritty about this, just realize something in general. This is so dumb. This is a very stupid thing that we're talking about. It is two grown men arguing on Twitter like a bunch of girls. It is not the way that men should conduct themselves. I'm not opposed to people being a little snippy or sniping back and forth on Twitter or having substantive arguments online. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is this has become across as petty, vindictful, and just trashy. And I guess online both of these men sort of behave this way sometimes, but you would hope not towards each other. This is just so dumb. This controversy is completely unnecessary, and we don't need to be doing this today. It's not something that needs to be done. It's not the way that people should behave. If Elon Musk has a prominent role in Donald Trump's administration, he should exit with grace. And I understand that as we said in the intro, he put aside a lot of time, energy, resources into electing Donald Trump and then to helping Donald Trump enact his agenda. Running Doge was not a small thing. It was a gigantic undertaking that only a person like Elon Musk really seemed capable of doing. So I feel like he's undermining a lot of what he did and a lot of the goodwill he built up with conservatives and conservative media by doing what he's doing right in this particular moment. Getting in a fight with Donald Trump is not the way forward, and it's unnecessary. He doesn't need to do it. I feel as though it's a good rule of thumb that if you're unhappy with something, let's say you have a job, and it doesn't matter what it is. I'm not talking about Elon Musk. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm just saying in general. If you have a job and you go and you leave that job for another job, and then immediately you start criticizing the administration of the last job that you had. You're bad-mouthing it to everyone in a way that's public and in a way that the other people who you used to work for would hear about. Of course those people are going to be upset. No one likes being bad-mouthed. No one likes being criticized. And right now what Elon Musk is doing is completely unnecessary. He shouldn't be doing this. He's going around, and he has criticisms. He has criticisms of this, what they are calling the big, beautiful bill that's going through Congress. It's the new spending bill. And that's what his criticism is that this bill, this new bill going through Congress, this omnibus monstrosity of a bill is two things. It is, from Donald Trump's perspective, it's pragmatic, meaning that this needs to be done to enact some of the things of his agenda. Now, what it's not is beautiful. It is big. It's not beautiful. There's a lot of spending in here, and Americans don't want to cut spending. Donald Trump realizes this. He can't touch the entitlement programs because people get mad, and I understand where Elon Musk is principally, because I'm with him in principle, but he has to understand that principle and politics do not always go 100% together, because sometimes you have to be pragmatic to get things done. There are some things in this bill that need to be done, and those are good, but you cannot just say, well, we're not going to do anything because this isn't 100% perfect. It doesn't work that way. And I get it. There are things I would change. There are things Elon Musk wants to change. But he's been going around on this press tour criticizing this bill in a very public, very open way. And as one of the most prominent members of Donald Trump's administration, when you begin to criticize that administration, of course Donald Trump is going to take this personally. He is relatively thin-skinned, at least on the outside. He notices things like this, and he's going to fire back. So this entire thing, even though I agree with Elon and with some of his criticisms, is unnecessary, and Elon Musk shouldn't be doing what he's doing. He doesn't need to go out there. He doesn't need to be criticizing Donald Trump's administration. He should not have anything negative to say about Donald Trump right now in this particular moment. This is not, by the way, this is not a, we all need to agree with Donald Trump on everything. This is saying you're the face of the administration. You are one of the faces of the administration. You shouldn't be saying anything. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility to say something. And there are plenty of other people who have criticisms who will stand up and do just that. It doesn't need to be Elon Musk. And so by him going out there and doing this, he started this feud with Donald Trump. And it has escalated over the past few days, and it is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Both men need to just, it would be nice if you could just take their phones away for just a little bit. Elon Musk is probably the biggest X user in the world. He's constantly on there. Every stream of consciousness that he has just goes up on the internet for everyone to see. And Donald Trump is not on X, but everything he says gets posted on the internet. It goes through Truth Social and then gets funneled over to X. So it's kind of the way that this works. But you've seen them go back and forth basically on the internet, and it's ridiculous. Americans don't need this. They don't want it. Just the same way that when we're talking about the bill, they do not want spending to be cut. They don't want these people to be feuding. It's just, at least conservatives do not. And so you had Donald Trump at one point, he's threatening to revoke contracts with SpaceX. And Elon Musk just doubles down, calls his bluff, says, well, actually, we're just going to decommission the spacecraft right now, the Dragon carrier or Dragon craft, whatever that thing is called. We're just going to decommission it. Fine, you don't want the contracts? We don't need them. It's decommissioned. And then Donald Trump, and then he comes out. This is the part, though. This is the part that the media is seizing on. This is the part that everyone's talking about, is Elon Musk comes out and he said that Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. The truth is going to come out. You mark this post one day. It's going to come true. It'll all come out. You'll see Donald Trump. But he's insinuating that he's either a sex trafficker or a pedophile. That's kind of the insinuation here, or at least engaged in some rather seedy and seemly activity. So it's not a good thing. Elon Musk doesn't need to attempt to slander Donald Trump. Let's imagine for a second. And by the way, Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. I don't care. I don't. But I care only in so much as if there was anything that happened that's illegal. I think everyone who engages in prostitution, and especially with underage people or sex trafficking, should go to jail. I don't think that's a good thing. But the fact that somebody knew Jeffrey Epstein isn't really a crime. See, that's one of the things. It's a slander by implication. Of course, Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a big socialite in New York. He knew a lot of people. There's photos of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. He's like, oh, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. I see him out. I see him at parties. Whatever. Okay, a lot of people did. The same thing happened to Bill Gates. Do I think Bill Gates is some secret pedophile? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But am I going to just believe that because Bill Gates had a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein? No, I'm not going to believe it because Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of money and Bill Gates thought he was an investor and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm not going to, until you show me some proof that someone did something wrong, slander by implication or linking to somebody is not really going to do it. But Elon Musk knows exactly what this is going to do. He says Donald Trump's main name is mentioned in the Epstein files, and the media loses their mind. They're saying, here it is. This is the smoking gun. This is it. You're going down, Donald Trump. This is the one that got you. It took 84 felonies to get you the presidency for a second time, but the 85th one's putting you in jail. It's nonsense. We don't need to be doing this, people. And Elon Musk should know better. He's a grown man. Okay, I know who Donald Trump is. Okay, I just think that Elon Musk is the one in the wrong here. Because we all know who Donald Trump is. You don't need to be this. You went to work for him. And you shouldn't antagonize him. It's not your role in politics to antagonize Donald Trump. It doesn't need to be done. We get it. Donald Trump is a guy who got where he is because of his instincts. His instinct is to punch back. When somebody criticizes him, when someone says something, he is going to double down, and he's going to do it harder. That's all it is. Ted Cruz says something about him at a debate, and Donald Trump says, yeah, well, your father killed JFK. It's like, what? Whoa, man. That's crazy. Or I think he called Ted Cruz's wife something about a dog face or something. That just really insulted the man. And, I mean, okay, would I have done that? No, probably not. I think I insult people sometimes, but I don't think I would have done it in a professional political debate. I don't think that's the place to criticize someone's wife. So, but that's who Donald Trump is. He's the guy who fights back. He's a guy who punches back, and he's a guy who doesn't just take it laying down. And so when Elon Musk comes out there and criticizes him, we knew this was going to happen. And Elon Musk is just wrong. He's the one in the wrong here. I think Donald Trump, obviously, he shouldn't be vengeful. He shouldn't be petty or vindictive. Those are all things that he shouldn't be. But we know he kind of is. And that's okay. It's who he is, and we know that going in. You vote for him regardless. But that isn't a good quality. Should we cancel SpaceX contracts because you're mad at Elon Musk? No, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't even say it. And Elon Musk, should you decommission a spacecraft because Donald Trump said something rude on the internet? No, you're both being petty. You're being petulant children, and it really just needs to take your phones away and put you in timeout because you need adults in the room. You need somebody in the room who can say to both of these men, stop it. What are you doing? This is not a good look for either of you. You both look silly, and you don't want to look like this on the internet. There's no reason that you need to be in a public spat. If you have problems, you have the phone number of the other person. Call them. Talk it out. Be men. Men talk it out. Men shake hands. They don't go to the internet to air their grievances like a high school girl. It's not what people should do. It's not to say you can never say anything about your life on the internet. You can never voice criticisms, but devolving into name calling and tantrum throwing is just, it's what toddlers do, and it's not a good look for either person. Anyway, so we hope this blows over. We hope that they can make a phone call and shake hands and go, okay, you know what, sorry about that, blah, 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 put it behind us. I don't know if it's going to happen. Knowing what we know about both of these guys, I just don't think that is going to be a likely story. But who knows? I hope I'm wrong, because I think that this friendship and Elon Musk being the voice, not the voice, but he being a spokesman for the Trump administration was good, because Elon Musk is not really an ideological conservative. He's not a liberal. He's not a conservative. He's just one of those guys in the middle, like most people. I think he's conservative on some things. I think he's probably more liberal on other things. And obviously, he's a very unique thinker and a unique person in the world. So you want somebody like that on your team. You want the richest man in the world to be on your team. So when he's on Donald Trump's team, it's great. We don't need him to go and do what he's doing right now, which is threatening to form a political party for a third political party in the United States. He said for 80% of the people in the middle. He's onto something there, by the way. I think both the right and the left, the Democrats and the Republicans, both of them do a very bad job of representing the majority of Americans. I think the majority of Americans are much closer on most issues than the Republican Party is to the Democratic Party. I think there's common sense that both sides are missing, probably because you run in primaries and then open elections, and in the primaries, you run to the fringes. You try and out your conservative rivals, and you try and out your progressive rivals, and then in the middle, you have to try and go back to the middle. But what happens is, and let's see if I can do this, my breakdown of what I believe is happening. So imagine that scenario. You got a guy, try and do it on yours. So the right and the left. You have guys running in primaries. And what they're doing is they start here in the center. They start in the center line and they run in their primaries. And you got a bunch of people running. So what did I just say? They run to the right, they run to the left, and they try and out-conservative, out-progressive each other. And then you have these guys who win. These two guys, they win. And what happens then is they try and tack back to the center. But every time where we started here, we run here, we try and tack back to the center, there's space that grows. And then they do it again, and more space grows. And then they do it again, and more space grows. And eventually, you're so far apart on issues that you can't tack back to the center because there is no center. The center doesn't exist because you've gone so far left and you've gone so far right that all of a sudden, what we thought was middle ground doesn't seem like middle ground. It seems like a vast abyss between the two sides that you can't overcome. And that's how the left and the right get so far apart that they feel like we're speaking different languages. The left side of the aisle might as well be speaking French, and the right, well, we obviously speak English. So it doesn't really make sense anymore, this idea of right and left. So when Elon Musk says, I'm going to come out with a political party for those in the middle, well, that's where most people are, because the politicians on the right are there for the fringe right, and on the left, they're on the fringe left. Now, my contention, and I think the one that is correct, obviously, is that I think the left has done this worse than the right. The left has gone further left. The left has gone further left than the right has far right. The right doesn't feel like the far right. The people I look at, the conservatives that I listen to, the Republican media, it doesn't track with the far right, the quote-unquote far right. They just call conservatives far right. I'm sure there are people out there right now who would label me far right, as if that has any sort of merit or distinction, or anything that I do is extreme or crazy, whatever it is. But that's what they do. They just label everybody the far right. But in truth, there's the far left and there's the right. And the far right doesn't have any power. The fringes, the crazy people on the Republican side, they don't have any power. But the far left does. The squad has power. We consider them the far left, and they have power. They do. We might say, oh, they're just House representatives from districts. But they have power. They're on the cover of Vogue magazine. They're not, these people are not insignificant. And it's not true for the right, where the fringe of the right is insignificant. The fringe of the left run the party. The most popular people in the Democratic Party today are Bernie Sanders and AOC. That says everything you need to know right there. They're out and avowed Democratic socialists, and those are the most popular people in the party. That's who the Democratic Party is. They're not the working class people anymore. They're the intellectual socialists. In the case of Bernie Sanders and AOC, the faux intellectual, but that's who they think they are. That's who they fancy themselves. They're not working class people who hold working class values. They're Marxists, and that's a different thing. AOC may have worked as a bartender. It doesn't make her working class. It's a different thing. So anyway, we don't need all this. Elon Musk threatening to make a party for the 80% in the middle is a bad thing. It would be a bad thing for the United States. What we want is saner political parties, but we don't need more of them. That's not really the goal. And it's not really the way America's worked for the past 250 years. So I do not think that his threats are a good thing, and we don't want it to happen. What we really want is for people to shake hands and make up, and Elon Musk to just come back and say, you know what, the Republicans are still better than the Democrats, and let's move past this. But we'll see. Who knows? Like I said, I think that this is not going to be the way that it goes, but we can hope, and we'll see what happens. Okay, on to topic 2. Cory Booker, the Nazi. Now, I don't know who saw this incredibly offensive gesture. I was hurt. I was struck to my core by it. It shook me. It shook who I am as a person. I watched Cory Booker out there do a Nazi salute in America in 2025. I couldn't believe that this would happen on our soil. We fought the Nazis, Cory. We don't salute them. It just breaks my heart into tiny, tiny pieces, and then sets those pieces on fire with the flamethrower for Cory Booker to do such a vile, nasty thing. Now, that being said, realize everything I just said was completely and totally sarcastic and untrue. Obviously, Cory Booker did not do a Nazi salute when he was giving a speech somewhere this week. I don't even know what he was talking about. It doesn't matter, because all that matters is the clip. The reason why we're talking about this, though, is because it's hilarious to me to point out the media hypocrisy. And I know that's the same thing I say all the time. We could be here for weeks if we just wanted to have a show about media hypocrisy. But Cory Booker was there. He gave a salute. Now, here, I'm going to do it. All right? Be warned. There's trigger warning for those watching that this might upset you. Cory Booker, he goes here. He puts his hand on his heart. He kind of taps, and then he goes out and he does a wave. He waves like this. He goes, wave, 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 wave. And obviously, it's obvious what he was doing. He's saying, I love you. Good to see you, right? That's obviously what he was doing. Now, let me show you. We all forget, but let's remember how we had an entire week of a news cycle dedicated to this incident, which took place a few months ago. Be warned. Again, trigger warning. It's coming. Watch out. Oh, no. Oh, look. There's Cory Booker giving his Nazi salute. Meanwhile, there's Elon Musk in his Nazi salute. Cory Booker, obviously, look at this, side by side. Cory Booker is obviously saying, I love you from my heart. Look at a wave. It's nice to see you all. Elon Musk is obviously invoking a Sieg Heil in Hail Hitler because, I don't know if you noticed. All right, I'll point this out with my mouse just so you can keep up. Now, here's how you tell that these are not the same thing. You can tell because Cory Booker's here, and Cory Booker's a Democrat, okay? So when he does this, this is okay because, again, it's an important distinction, Cory Booker is a Democrat. He doesn't like Trump, and therefore, when he does this, he's saying, I love you. It's nice to see you, all right? See, you break it down. There's the I love you. There's the nice to see you. Now, Elon Musk on the bottom here, you can tell Elon Musk, when he does this, he likes Donald Trump. And because he likes Donald Trump, he's saying, here's where I love Hitler and over here as well. Okay, so there it is. He loves him here in his heart, and then he throws it out and he says, and over there I love him too. And so that's the difference between these two things is that and Elon Musk voted Republican. All right, so you can tell that he's bad because of that. So when he does it, it's terrible and bad, and it generates endless headlines. And when Cory Booker does it, it's ignored because, obviously, why? I mean, Cory Booker's just a nice guy, and Elon Musk is evil, mean, and nasty. So here's the difference in how these incidents were covered. CNN, Cassie Hunt said, quote, that salute was evocative of things we've seen through history. It's not something you typically see at American political rallies. Or in CNN commentator Catherine Rampel, who said it was definitely a Sieg Heil. Or how about the vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, who when he was on Rachel Maddow's show, he suggested that Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute. He said, of course he did. Of course. Or the New York Times, who ran an essay, and the headline read, quote, what Elon Musk's salute was all about. The Associated Press ran another one, said, quote, Musk's straight-arm gesture embraced by right-wing extremists regardless of what he meant. Or The Guardian, who said, quote, Elon Musk appears to make back-to-back fascist salutes at inauguration rally, end quote. Okay, guys, what the hell? New York Times, the Washington Post ran one. The Guardian ran one. See, it was on CNN. It was everywhere. The vice presidential nominee who ran with Kamala Harris said, of course he would do this. It's just, obviously. The media knows full well that Elon Musk is not a Nazi. It's not that difficult to figure out. The man is not a Nazi. We don't really need to do a big investigation into it. He's not a Nazi. We know this. The Republicans are not Nazis. The media, actually, despite what they say, most of them know this. Right? Almost all of the media is actually relatively competent enough to know that the Republicans are not Nazis. But that isn't the point. The fact that they know this actually makes it worse because what they're doing is deliberate because they know that certain large sections of the population never make it past the headline. People share this on social media. They're not reading the articles. They share the headline. Elon Musk makes Nazi salute at rally. That's all they're going to share. That's all they're going to know. Elon Musk, oh yeah, remember when he made that Nazi salute? They're not watching the video. And even if they watch the video, they'll be like, oh yeah, obviously, Nazi salute. They're not doing this. And so when the media puts this out, they do this deliberately to smear people by just implying that they're Nazis. Obviously, Elon Musk is not a Nazi. It's just ridiculous. Show me one thing that he does or says that a Nazi would agree with. I don't know who you think you're talking to when you are accusing Elon Musk of liking Hitler. What are you talking about? Show me one thing that he's ever said that says, "Oh yeah, I love Hitler." It's silly. So they're doing this deliberately because they know most people are low information people within the electorate. I don't know a good way to say that. Most people don't follow politics, as they shouldn't, because we don't want politics to be that important. We don't want politics to run our life. That's if you're one of those people who every day you obsessively have to be up to date on what's going on, you probably take a chill pill. Okay, really, just relax a little bit. It'll be okay. All right, I understand. I think politics is important. You shouldn't let it upset you in the real world. And most people are like that. So most people just get glimpses of stories. They know just the bare minimum of facts. And the media deliberately attempts to paint headlines in a negative way for Republicans. This is actually something Ben Shapiro points this out on his show a lot. And once you see it, it's kind of funny because it is absolutely true. Elon Musk will do something, okay? Or any Republican. Any Republican will do something. But use Elon Musk as an example because we're talking about it right now. Elon Musk does this awkward gesture. He's an awkward guy. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He jumps around. He moves a lot. He's twitchy. He does this awkward gesture. He puts his hand on his heart and he throws it out with the force. He goes, ah! And he's like, and he said, well, what he was trying to say, and actually he does say it. He says it after the salute. He says, my heart is with all of you, or something like this. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he goes, my heart, you have my heart. And he does this. He takes his heart and he throws it into the crowd. And they're saying, oh, my God, look at this. He's doing a Nazi gesture. And the media will put that headline out there. And they'll say, conservative does bad thing. That's what the headline will be. It'll be, Elon Musk gives Nazi salute. Donald Trump violates First Amendment. It'll say, Republican conservative does a bad thing. That's the headline. When the Democrats do something bad, it'll say, conservatives say Democrat does bad thing. And so conservatives dogpile on Democrat who did bad thing. Or maybe they didn't even do bad thing. Conservatives dogpile on Democrat, period, end of headline. And so Ben Shapiro points this out on the show. He say that it goes basically that it says conservatives do bad things, and then the other headline is conservatives pounce. So it always paints the conservatives as the bad guy. Doesn't matter what they're covering, doesn't matter what's going on. That's how the headlines read. And the media does this intentionally just for those low information voters, just for those people who only get their news from social media, just for those people who don't care enough to look into issues. It's why people believed that Donald Trump said there's fine people on both sides. You have smart people who still say that to this day, that Donald Trump called neo-Nazis fine people. It's the dumbest thing. It's the easiest, most easily disprovable thing in the world. Headlines for years about this, and people believe this because that's all they ever read. They only ever read the headline. They never listened to what he said. They never listened to the story. They just know that Donald Trump called neo-Nazis fine people. And they believe this the same way they believed Elon Musk is a Nazi or did a Nazi hand gesture because they only read the headline. And it's despicable. It's despicable, and the media knows what they're doing when they do it, and they do it deliberately, which makes them evil because you can do things by stupidity or you can do things with malice. When you begin to do things with malice, you're growing evil, and that's what the media is doing, the corporate media, when they do things like this deliberately. There are people who wrote articles about this, who know for a fact that Elon Musk was not given a Nazi salute. They know, and they did it anyway. Because they want people to believe that, because they want to manipulate people. And when you're trying to lie, when you're trying to misrepresent reality to manipulate other people, you're a bad person. You're the bad guy. This is what every woman with an ex now who says that their ex was a gaslighter. This is actual gaslighting. This is making people believe a reality that's not true. This is distorting reality to fit in ends, to manipulate people so that you can get them to vote a way that you want. That is what we're talking about. It's despicable behavior. And they also do this another way, not just with the headlines. They do this with choosing what stories to talk about and what stories to not talk about. So this Cory Booker thing is a great one. You had a number of publications who said nothing about it. conservatives were pointing it out kind of in jest, like I was in the beginning, that this is the same thing. Oh my God, Cory Booker is doing a Nazi. And I read a couple headlines that basically say conservatives criticize Cory Booker, but you're not seeing major news stories about this. You're not seeing major publications run headlines about this. You're certainly not. Choosing what stories to cover and what stories to not cover is just as important as the headlines you write, because it promotes bias in a different sort of way. Covering negative stories about Democrats or not covering negative stories about Democrats is actually a form of bias that is probably more important than just the way you write the story, because sweeping the story under the rug is actually more effective than than people realize, than trying to make a headline that makes conservatives look bad. You could just pretend that the whole thing didn't happen. And most people won't know, because it's impossible to keep up with everything, because we are an information overload and we only have a finite amount of bandwidth within our brains. So we just don't have time to learn everything. So when the media chooses only to cover certain stories that make Democrats look good and Republicans look bad, that's the way that they try and manipulate the system. It's why you look at something like positive to negative coverage of Donald Trump on networks, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. You'll see it's a 97-3 ratio. Donald Trump may have one nice word said about him, and that nice word will be that he's not bald. It'll be like, oh, he has hair. Man stands over 6 feet. It's never anything of substance, never anything that great. Or they'll say, oh, his kids like him. Okay, that's a positive thing. It is a good thing when your children like you, but then they'll have 97 bad stories about Donald Trump, and they'll say, well, we're unbiased. Look, we've said this nice thing about Trump that one time. And you go, oh, okay, well, that's not really the way that works, but okay, whatever. Negative to positive coverage doesn't line up, and the stories you do and don't cover don't line up. The good stories about Republicans on your network versus bad stories are out of whack, and the good stories about Democrats versus the bad stories about Democrats are out of whack, and you have 97 good ones for Democrats, for 3 for the Republicans, and the opposite's true for the Republican Party, and you claim to be unbiased or non-biased or nonpartisan, and that's obviously untrue. So anyway, it's ridiculous, but it's just a great story. Hold on. I got to show you this. It's very important. Oh, God, don't look. Shoot, we came back to it. Elon Musk. I'm sorry. I just had to see it again. I had to look. I had to know one more time the evil that's in Cory Booker's heart. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We're going to move on to, what time is it? Oh, okay, yeah, this is a quick one. So this is actually a story of substance, but we have to kind of wait till it plays out to see what happens. This is topic 3, Marco Rubio cancels Chinese visas. This is important because we are in a Cold War. People don't think about it that way, but I do. It is very important because this could determine the future of the world. And I don't say that, it's not hyperbolic. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. If we want to live in a world that is propagated with Western values, America has to lead. And if we fail, it's going to be China who leads the way. And we don't want that. China and Russia. And we don't want that. We don't want the values of those countries to take over the world. It wouldn't be a good thing. And Marco Rubio seems to understand the position we are in as well, are better than anyone else in the world. He is maybe the best pick in all of Donald Trump's administration has turned out to be Marco Rubio. And I really think, listen, I'm not saying this is going to happen for a fact, but he's young. And Marco Rubio will run for president again at some point, and I think he will do very well. I think that he is a very qualified, very smart guy, and I didn't realize that years ago. I wrote some things that are very critical of him years ago, and he has really impressed me with his run here at the State Department. That is for sure. So this week he announced that they are going to be canceling student visas for Chinese students here in the United States. There are about 280,000 Chinese students here in the United States on visas, and Marco Rubio wants to revoke those student visas. Now, the courts have kind of stopped this in a number of ways from happening, but they can't stop him from revoking the visas. They can stop him from doing a couple other things. There's been holdovers from some judges who say you can't, I think they were saying you can't arrest people here on a student visa for something. I'm trying to remember exactly what these orders were from the judges, but they've been slowed in the courts in their plan to deport people who are here on student visas. But they can't stop the State Department from revoking those visas. They have not been able to do that. So Marco Rubio announced he's going to revoke 280,000 Chinese student visas. It is always important when we talk about China to distinguish something between the Chinese people and the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese people, I've known many Chinese people in my life. They are lovely. They're great people. They really are. They're just like anyone else. They're good people. They're bad people, but they're awesome. They really are. They can be great. The problem is that the Chinese Communist Party is terrible. It is, again, it's our ideological enemy. We are in a cold war with them. And unfortunately, for all the Chinese students who are here in the United States, they are indistinguishable in real life from the Chinese Communist Party. Now, most of the people here on student visas, they're not communists. They don't belong to the party. They don't work for the party. They're here to learn, and they're here to or be American or live in America. They're here for good reasons, or at least perceived good reasons. Their problem is that how do we know that? And this is a real deal because China, we have been combating spies from the Chinese government for years. Almost 50% of our espionage cases in the United States involve Chinese people. And some of them are Chinese citizens. Some of them are American-born Chinese, meaning that their parents were Chinese. Some of them are Americans who just work for the Chinese government. And not Chinese Americans, but just Americans, people, white, black, doesn't matter, who work for the Chinese government or who have been influenced by the Chinese government. Half, I think it was 49% of our espionage cases in the United States involve Chinese people. So it is a big deal, and combating spies is important. And China embeds spies in this country through universities. They absolutely 1,000% do this. They have people. It's like the Manchurian Candidate. So the Manchurian Candidate, it's an old movie. It basically is about a guy who grows up in, there are two different versions of it, really. It's about a guy whose his parents or his country are foreign, but he grows up in America, but the whole time he's in America, he's raised with values of a terrorist organization, so that as he grows up, he actually doesn't believe in the American creed, but outwardly he pretends to. It's like sleeper agents from Russia who come to the United States and pretend to be American. They're not American, they're Russian sleeper agents. The same thing with the Manchurian Candidate. It's somebody who works for somebody else but pretends to be an American. And that's what they're doing right now. They get in young. So you're talking 18, 19-year-olds who are already working for the Chinese Communist Party, who come here and pretend to be American. Their job is to integrate into society. Their job is to infiltrate into organizations. And that's what they do. And unfortunately, I don't know how many of the 280,000 Chinese students who are here in the United States fit into that category. But it's important to understand that there is going to be some. And in China, because they send spies through this program, they need to be taught a lesson, and it would be wise to start by revoking some visas. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. Now, there's another aspect to this, another component to it, but that is a big one. Don't mistake that at all. Combating Chinese predation in America is a big deal. The other part of this is that this is now a bargaining chip in negotiations. So we probably won't wind up revoking visas for most people. But what's going to happen is that China controls 70% of rare earth minerals, rare earth mineral mining in the United States. And they control 90% of all the processing power for those rare earth minerals, meaning that even though the United States mines a certain percentage, we still have to have those materials processed in Chinese-controlled processing plants. So this is part of an ongoing negotiation. I'm not sure of all the intricate details that are going into this negotiation between the Trump administration and the Chinese government, but it has something to do with these rare earth minerals. Either Donald Trump wants access to more mines or more processing power. He thinks the U.S. should control more of one or the other. I'm not 100% sure what all the details are on the table, but we know that this is a negotiation. And part of this now is the bargaining chip that we're not going to allow Chinese students into the United States, which is a big deal for China. So because a lot of Chinese people go back to China with education they received in the United States, because the education in China, the elite universities in China, are not as good as in America. There aren't any places in the world that have as good education as the United States. Even those places in Britain that we like to talk about, the very old one like Oxford, it's not the same. People come to America for their education. And though I think that now mostly that education is not as good as people believe it to be, it's still the prestige attached to the name is important. So, and actually our STEM fields are better than anywhere in the world. Our STEM education is still better than everywhere in the world. It's just that a lot of the other university education is watered down and nonsense. So anyway, it's a good thing. But this is a bargaining chip, and we'll see how Marco Rubio and Donald Trump use it, and maybe all of these visas get revoked. Maybe they do not. I'm not sure. We will see moving forward, I'm sure. But anyway, until then, we don't have anything else to say on the topic. We are hitting about the 35-minute mark. So, oh my God, 39 minutes. Wow. Talked a lot today. Anyway, we are going to, oh my gosh, choking a little. Choking up. I'm going to miss you guys. We're going to end it there for the week. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. Do all that fun stuff in the bottom, especially the comments. Comments right now for those people who are liked and subscribed really help in the algorithm, especially on YouTube. So when you put out a video and somebody comments on that video, immediately, if it happens within a certain time frame, that video gets shot way up on the algorithm display. So it gets shown to a lot more people if someone engages with it. Likes are good. I mean, just hitting the thumbs up is actually important. It does a lot of things for the video in terms of getting the reach out there. Likes and comments especially are really, really useful. Even people who aren't subscribed, or even people who are subscribed. Just one of those things is really helpful to boost the output of the videos. Anyway, we hit 8,000 people last month, which is pretty cool. That's the most we've ever had on 1 month for one platform. That was just on YouTube, by the way. And I thought that was pretty neat. So anyway, thank you all for everyone who's listening, and do all that stuff I said before. And until then, we will see you next Friday.